Hello everybody, we are back once again. I am Tim with Golf Cart Garage. I am a member of the Gearheads On Demand service that is offered by Golf Cart Garage. Gearheads On Demand is a service that we offer where if you have a golf cart related issue and you need to speak to a technician, you can set an appointment with me either by phone or you can set up a video session. You can, I will call you. You go to golfcartgarage.com, or you can click the link in the description and schedule, and that will take you to the scheduling page, and you can pick a time that's convenient for you for me to call you, and I'll call you and talk to you about your golf cart related issue. I might be able to help you. I might have been there before. I might be able to save you some money. Let's see, we come here every week. I hope everybody had a safe Memorial Day weekend last weekend. We come here every week and go over some questions that we get at Golf Cart Garage on a daily basis. I try to answer some of the questions. I talk to some live chatters if we get some chatters, some live people in YouTube and Facebook, because we are live right now on YouTube and Facebook. This is Thursday, June the 2nd, noon Central Time. This is episode 37, the 37th time that we have done this. That's a lot of questions. So since the garage is now open, let's get started with question 1. I just replaced my OBC with a new one, 2006 Turf 2 Carryall. Still will not charge. Charger works fine on other carts. Cart moves forward and backwards without an issue. Put a 12-volt charger on all batteries individually and total battery set registers 45.6. Well, the only red flag I see in your question right off the bat is the 45.6, and you have a 12-volt charger. Well, if you have a 12-volt charger, then I would love to see you go ahead and get those batteries up to 12 volts. If we're talking about 12-volt batteries, or are we talking about 8-volt batteries? Because that carryall could be either configuration. I'd like to see you get your voltage up a little more. Now, also, one thing you could check is from your charging receptacle. There's a couple of wires coming out of it on the back side, not the side where you plug the car in, but on the other side under the seat. You got a couple of wires coming out of there. Well, one of those wires is red, and it goes all the way over to the left and connects to the first battery positive post. Check that red wire. Make sure that it's connected. Make sure it's not corroded. Make sure it hasn't become so corroded that it's fallen off. It might be laying on the battery, but it might not be connected anymore. I've seen that happen several times. So that would be something that you could check. But other than that, I would want you to continue to work with your battery voltage and see if you get that battery voltage up a little bit. Get it as close to 48 as you possibly can, then try again. Let's see, number 2. My battery indicator was showing not fully charged and ran sluggish because I accidentally left the key on while charging. Now fully charged and good performance. These are new batteries. What could have happened? If everything is working correctly, then leaving the key on should not have made any difference whatsoever. That is not going to do anything. I would say that your issue is unrelated to leaving the key on. Unless, when you turn your key on, unless you hear a solenoid click, because you're not supposed to hear anything. If you just turn the key on, you shouldn't hear anything happen. It's not until you touch the accelerator pedal with your foot that you hear something happen. So, but like I said, that's going to be an unrelated issue, leaving that key on. So you need to look around for something else. And the first thing that I would want to know is, does the solenoid come on, click when you turn that key on? Number 3. My nephew has a 96 Club Car DS and has replaced just about everything on this cart and still nothing. Battery's good, replaced solenoid, foot pedal, computer switch, just about all. What would be your next move? Well, my first question would be, does the solenoid click when you key on and you touch the accelerator pedal? Does the solenoid click? in 96, you're not going to have a run toe switch. I was about to ask that, but in 96, you don't have a run toe switch. So you've replaced the micro switch in the accelerator pedal. You got to get the solenoid to clicking. If your solenoid is not clicking, the car's never going to run. Okay, if the solenoid is clicking and it's still not running, then my guess would be controller. You didn't mention that you had replaced the controller. Well, I can tell you this, I've replaced controllers in 96 club cars quite a few times. They can go out for no reason at all. So it could be the controller if your solenoid is clicking. Okay, number 4. My gas Yamaha golf cart won't start. Getting 12 volt at switch under gas pedal. Got new battery, check solenoid, not sure it's good. Getting fire to it. Now what? Okay, well, if you know that you're getting fire, that means your cart, when you touch the gas pedal, that means your cart is actually turning over. So the starter generator is turning the motor over. It's just not starting. The cart won't start because you said it's getting fire. Okay, well, then the next 2 things would be that this is what anybody would say. You have to have fire, you have to have fuel, and you have to have compression. So you need to check your compression and then check for fuel. The easy way to check for fuel is pull the gas line off of the carburetor and then turn the motor over, and if gas spews out, you know you're getting gas to the carburetor. But then you need to make sure you're getting gas past the carburetor, and by checking the spark plug to see if it's wet, then you know you're getting gas past the carburetor. But a compression test would come into play too. You got to have those 3 things: fuel, spark, and compression. Number 5. I have a 48 volt club car with an MCOR, and when you push the pedal all the way down, the speed will drop. I replaced the MCOR and still have the problem. Is it the speed sensor or speed controller? Thank you for your time. Well, my question would be, how severe is the drop in speed? If you're going along and you press it all the way down and it drops to a crawl, I mean a literal crawl, and while your foot's still on the floor, then I would say speed sensor. I mean, you're probably on the money there. Probably speed sensor fault. All right, number 6. My club car will stop running on the level, it just dies. Let it sit for a minute and it will take off again. Okay, well, if we're talking about an electric car, then you got something that's heating up, most likely. You've got something that's getting hot. One loose connection can cause that symptom that what you're describing. You could have one loose connection. You could have one loose battery connection. It could be a connection on your forward and reverse switch. Any of your main power wire connections, your 6-gauge wires, any connection that any 6-gauge wire makes in your electrical system could cause that symptom, because what happens is a loose connection starts building up heat. Sometimes when it builds up enough heat, it will not allow current to pass through. It won't allow the current to pass through anymore because the heat changed it. So it needs to be tightened back down. So check for that. That could be something. You might find something obvious if you look for that. Let's go over here to Facebook and YouTube just for a second to see if we got anything going on. Here we are on Facebook from Billy Strawn. Hey Billy, what's up, man? Hey Tim, could you go over the best way to set the camber and toe when putting on a new lift kit? I have also heard that it is good to drive it a little bit and recheck before you put it on Loctite. That is absolutely correct, Billy. That's exactly what I would say. Now, so if you have a lift kit that sets camber and toe, I mean that's going to be an expensive lift kit, because most lift kits do not have camber on them. So the way that I do camber is you basically want the golf cart front ends are not near as technical as automobiles, so it doesn't have to be like a laser, like when you get an automobile front end aligned, they use lasers and stuff in order to make sure it's exactly right. Golf cart front ends are a little bit more forgiving than that, because we're talking about a whole lot lower speed vehicle. on the camber, I usually just set camber with a square. You know what a square is? You know, the carpenter square. You know, it's a 90-degree angle, and I'll put a carpenter square up by the front tire and set camber like that. Now, toe in, you know, is proper toe in on a golf cart is actually 1/8 inch toe in. So that's pretty much across the board, 1/8 inch toe in. And I agree with you about driving the cart, coming back, you know, putting some weight on it, taking it through its paces, going through the woods or taking it down a trail or something, then come back into your shop or wherever you're working on it, and then recheck your camber and then recheck your toe in. But that's how I do it. That's how I've done it for a long time. It's usually works pretty well. Let me see over here on YouTube, see what's going on there. Don't have anybody there. We'll come back to Facebook and YouTube here in a minute. Let's get back to the questions. Number 7 is where we're at. This is from Robert. He says, possible OBC problem. I have a 2011 DS electric 48-volt club car. The charger starts with an audible click and indicates charging. Batteries charge evenly to approximately 8.4 amps on meter. Wire connections are clean and tight. Charger remains on. Needle indicator stays about half on dial. All right, well, I'm going to ask you some questions about your batteries, you know, because and how long have you let it run? How long have you let that charger run to determine that it's not shutting off? Because it can take, if your battery pack is really dead, it can take up to 16 hours to charge your battery pack. A lot of people don't, they kind of jump the gun thinking that it's not shutting off, but it may have only been on for like 10 hours or so. Well, if the battery pack was dead, or really dead, if the golf cart had been used quite a bit that day or that week and not charged, then you could be looking at a 16-hour charging cycle. That would be one thing. Now, another thing I'd want you to understand is, like, the 8.4 amps, you know, you want to see it drop all the way down to 0 and eventually just shut completely off, or close to 0, probably around 4 amps or something for a while, and then shut off and go to 0. So check your voltage that on your battery pack when it's at that 8.4 amps. Check your voltage while it's charging at that 8.4 amp spot. Put your voltmeter across the entire battery pack and see what kind of voltage is going on. Because before that charger shuts off, it's going to want to see 60 volts or more in a 48 volt system. So if you're not at 60 volts, it's not through charging. And if it never shuts off and it stays there, then my first guess would not be OBC. My first guess would be that you have a battery issue. So we need to determine whether it's a battery issue first, or then we can talk about the OBC. It very well could be the OBC. But if you're hanging out on 8.4 amps and your voltage is not rising in your batteries, that's not really a symptom of a bad OBC. That's a symptom of a bad battery, is what that is. So let's see. Number 8 is from Ken. I have an 86 EZGO 36 volt cart. Just replaced the batteries, so I'm committed to 36 volts. It's slow. Is it possible to swap out the motor for a high torque motor? What else would be needed? Well, what is it you're trying to accomplish? It sounds like you're trying to accomplish speeding the car up. Well, in general, golf cart electric motors, if you go to a high torque motor, it's actually going to be slower than a high speed motor, and a high torque motor would very likely be slower than the motor that you have in your car now. Now, would it be stronger on heels? Yes, that's because it's designed differently on the inside. It's wound different on the inside. Now, other than that, you could look at combo kits where you get the best of both worlds. You could get more torque and more speed. You can look at golfcartgarage.com. We sell some motor, controller, and solenoid combo kits. Now, your car being an 89, I don't know right off the top of my head if that's going to be a resistor car or if that's going to be a controller car. If it's a resistor car, then I wouldn't recommend doing anything with it except to just make sure that it's running correctly, make sure everything is working correctly, because those resistors are going to cause a problem if you do too much changing. Now, just changing to to a torque motor, probably wouldn't do anything, but changing to a speed motor to speed your car up, if it's a resistor car, that's going to cause the resistors to get even hotter than they normally do. So that's why I wouldn't suggest doing that to a resistor car. But if it's not a resistor car, if it's controller, then you have a few options. You have different options. Oh, and there's always gears you can put in the rear end. You can put in a higher speed gear set, but that's, again, if it's a resistor car, I wouldn't recommend that because it's going to put more strain on those resistors. Let's see, number 9. This is from Ed. My golf cart does not run consistently when I hit the accelerator. It may run about 100 feet, then slow down like somebody hits the brakes. It's worse in the colder, damp weather, but either when I put the pedal all the way down or halfway, it will run okay and just slows down like the brakes were applied. Well, what kind of golf cart are we talking about? Because if it's it could be a speed sensor issue, because a speed sensor drops off really quickly. You know, when you take off, everything seems fine, then drops off really quickly down to a crawl, like we had said earlier. It could be depending on which golf cart you have, the make and model. If it's an EZGO RXV, you could have a motor brake issue. You know, we sell a lot of motor brakes. Some of the motor brakes, the earlier models tended to seem to have a lot more problems than the later models. So it could be a motor brake issue. So your question is depending on a lot of factors. I would just have more questions. If you'd like to speak with me about it, we could clear all that up. Just click the link in the description and set an appointment. Let's see here. Number 10. I recently had a Navitas Blue Tooth 440 G19 unit installed on my 2003 Yamaha golf cart. I now have 3 dials on a control unit mounted under the seat of the cart to control regeneration, acceleration, and speed. I basically don't care about regeneration, but I want a decent mixture of speed and acceleration. How do I optimize this Navitas unit to maximize speed and acceleration and minimize my need for regeneration? Well, it sounds like that you have the Navitas on-the-fly programmer. You know, it's designed to where you can adjust it, you know, at will. A lot of people put it in the glove box and you can just adjust it at will. But it sounds like to me what you want is just you want it to be maxed out with no regenerative braking. So on your programmer, just turn your regenerative braking all the way off, turn your accel all the way up, and your speed all the way up, and then test that to see how you like it. If you don't like that, just start backing off on accel and speed a little bit and get it to where you want it. That's what I would do. Number 11. I have a 2006 Club Car Precedent. Sometimes when I push the gas pedal, nothing happens. I pump it a few times and then it runs. It's not a loose belt. I'm thinking about the switch next to the gas pedal or starter generator. Please let me know what you think. I really don't want to purchase the wrong item. Well, I can't commit to, you know, this is all just my opinion, so you're not going to pin me down if you purchased the wrong item. But it could be a couple of different things in my opinion. I think the thing you're talking about on a gas car that's next to the gas pedal or the accelerator pedal, in the gas car it's called the G core. In an electric car it's called an M core. Well, in a gas car it's a G core, and there is a micro switch in there that when you hit the gas pedal that, you know, makes the starter generator turn over. So I would be leaning toward that. I would not be leaning toward the starter generator itself. I would be leaning toward that G core. That micro switch is either sticking inside there or something like that. You know, is going on with it, and then every now and then it unsticks. You know, I would want you to, if you could make it fail on purpose, that would be nice and that would be helpful. Like raise the seat and crank your car in neutral and touch the accelerator pedal and watch that starter generator and make sure that it's actually even activating. Like if you're not getting voltage to the starter generator at all when it fails and it doesn't do anything, just make sure that it's not doing anything. You know, look at the starter generator when you touch the accelerator pedal and make sure it's not doing anything. That would tell you that it's not getting any voltage to it. Sometimes if you'll see it jerk if it is getting voltage, and that would make me lean toward that as being the issue. But I would bet that it's going to be the G core. We don't sell a lot of those, by the way, so that would be kind of unusual. Number 12. This is from John. 2007 Club Car. I have one of the slowest golf carts in the golf course community in which I live. I continuously pull aside to let others pass. What can be done to improve the speed of my golf cart? A different controller, perhaps. I'm already am going to have my 4 Trojan batteries replaced with a lithium unit. But that may help a little. Your thoughts? 2007 Club Car. All right, well, I can tell you this. The lithium unit, if everything stays the same on your cart and all you do is replace the lithium, it may help a little bit just because it has a little bit higher voltage than that's not going to help a lot. It's not in speed. Now it's going to help a lot in power and torque because you save so much weight. Your lithium battery is going to weigh so much less than the lead acid pack that you're going to feel like you just gained a whole bunch of acceleration because you lost like 300 pounds off of your cart. Now, it's not going to, like I said, it's not going to make that much difference in speed, but it might make a little bit. But the main difference the lithium would make would be the power. Now, as far as your cart being so slow to begin with, how slow are we talking about? You know, you said 2007 Club Car. If it's a 2007 IQ car, then it could be slow because your MCOR is faulty. Your Club Car can, if you take it to a Club Car dealer, they can plug in their little Club Car computer. Your cart has a diagnostic port on it if it's an IQ system, and they can tell you if your MCOR is sending the WOT signal to the controller. Now, WOT stands for wide open throttle. That MCOR sends a signal to the controller, and if the controller does not get the WOT signal, it's not going to give the WOT signal to the motor. So you got to fix that the MCOR. But they can test that in 5 minutes. They can tell you whether your MCOR is going wide open or not. Your MCOR has to go wide open in order to tell your controller to go wide open, in order to tell your motor to go wide open. So that's something that they could do. That would be what I would check for. Now, if you said something about another controller. Well, again, a controller is not necessarily going to give you any more speed either. It may give you some, depending on which controller you go with and depending on which electrical system you have now. In 2007, you could have 2 electrical systems. One of them has a run-toe switch and one of them doesn't. If it's the one with the run-toe switch and it is the IQ, then a new controller can make you go faster. But you still need to, if you want everything maxed out, you need to go back to the beginning and make sure that MCOR is sending the WOT signal to the controller. Because if it's not sending the wide open throttle signal to your controller you have now, it's not going to send it to the new controller. So you're still going to be limiting yourself. Number 13. Oh, before I go to number 13, let's go over here to YouTube. Judd M. What's up, Judd M? I see you in there. Let's check Facebook over here. Billy Strawn says he has one more question. When I wire in my new voltage reducer for 12 volt accessories, do I stack up my wires on the same post for the different accessories, or do I wire another fuse block type that allows me to have multiple places for different wires? No, that's not. I hope that's not too confusing. He says, no, that's not confusing. I know what you're saying. It just depends. It depends on how slick of an install you want it to be. You know, if you want to show off to your friends and show them how cool you are, then go ahead and get the block with multiple places. I mean, that looks really cool, and it makes it real simple, and it makes it easy for troubleshooting. But I can assure you that it will still work if you just stack up your wires on the same post. I mean, that will work also. I tend to like to use the block with multiple places. That allows you to have multiple places for different wires. I tend to like that just because it looks cleaner. It's a cleaner install. Okay, back to number 13. My brother-in-law recently bought a G29. As far as I can tell, it's stock. The problem we're having is the suspension is so stiff that it rattles our kidneys on the course. Is there a Cadillac suspension available? It is to the point that we can't keep up with our team because we have to drive so slow over bumps and such. Well, my first question would be, did this golf cart, this Yamaha, did it have a 4-passenger kit on it at one time? Because if it did, or did it have a lift kit on it at one time, or is it lifted now? Because if it had any of those things, it's very possible that someone has changed the coilover springs on the shocks to the heavy-duty coilover springs. Because generally, you never have to loosen up a G29 or Yamaha. Generally, you don't have to do that. They ride fine. Most of the time, you have to stiffen them up in order to carry a certain amount of weight because it was dragging in the rear, or the lift kit itself caused it to be top heavy and would sway back and forth too easily. So people put heavy duty springs on those shocks. So that would be my question there. But other than that, there's not a softer suspension that I know of for a Yamaha. Number 14. This is from Fred. Indicator shows it is charging and near the red mark. It runs well on level surface but loses power on a slight hill. I would want to know the battery readings when you get to that slight hill where it's losing power. Like you could take a battery reading at rest, just your car sitting there. Take a battery reading across the entire pack, like one of your leads on the first battery positive and one of your leads on the last battery negative, and see what your total voltage is. It should be, we're talking about a 48 volt car, it should be about 50 volts. It should show about 50 volts if it's a fully charged pack. If you can, use alligator clip leads and clip your voltmeter and leave them there. Leave them on there and bring the voltmeter up in the seat of the golf cart with you, and then go back to that slight hill you're talking about. Watch your voltage in the seat as you drive, and you'll see how your voltage drops every time you touch the accelerator pedal. Every time you put on the accelerator pedal, your voltage is going to drop a little. And when you get to that hill, it's going to drop a little bit more. I want to know what it does at that hill. If you're losing power to the point where you're really having to complain about it, then I wouldn't doubt it if your voltage is dropping really, really low at that hill. And at that point, we would be looking for a bad battery, or we'd be looking for a weak battery compared to their other batteries, because it only takes one. It only takes one battery. Actually, literally only takes one cell to cause a low power symptom. One cell could be dropping out in a battery. Let's see. Number 15 is from Stephen. Stephen says, "Hi Tim, 2003 Club Car DS gas, replaced starter generator, and the generator only puts out 12.25. Assuming it should operate like a car and put out at least 13.4 to 13.8. The battery keeps going bad. Replaced the battery and fully charged." I remember speaking with Stephen this past week. We had a long conversation about his dilemma, and we have come to the conclusion that he possibly had gotten a bad voltage regulator. He had gotten some inexpensive stuff, very inexpensive stuff from Amazon, and a lot of times that's you get what you pay for. And so he's going to try another voltage regulator, because most of the charging problems that I have seen, that I have come across in my experience, were the voltage regulator. It wasn't the starter generator at all. It was just the voltage regulator. I've seen voltage regulators fail in a way where you you check the battery, you crank the car, and it's not doing anything. It's not charging at all. I've seen voltage regulators fail in a way where you've got your voltmeter leads on the battery, you crank the golf cart and watch the voltage in the battery, and not only is it not charging the battery, it literally sucks power out of the battery, and it will continue to suck power out of the battery until the battery goes completely dead. And so that's a couple of ways that I've seen voltage regulators fail. Okay, number 16. This is from Richard. It says, "Hi Tim, I have a 2019 Tempo and charging with the 𝗟𝗂𝘁 charger. The charger was working intermittently and then just stopped. I replaced the black plug, still have no power. Any suggestions, or does this very expensive unit just have a shelf life?" That 𝗟𝗂𝘁 charger is actually a pretty good charger, by the way. It's and everything has a shelf life, but we're talking 2019. That's not a very long period of time at all. Just to be sure, there would be two things I would want you to do. I would want you to see if you could find somebody with a Tempo with this exact same plug, or an EZGO with the exact same plug, with the exact same voltage battery setup as you have. That if it has the same receptacle, it's going to be the same as you have. And see if a charger does anything different on their car. You know, if it does anything different, or it does the exact same thing, which in your case you're saying it's nothing. So I'd want to see you do that, and then I'd want some battery readings off of your battery pack just to make sure that it's okay. Oh, and you could do this. You could stick your voltmeter leads in the charging receptacle, and that would give you a reading of what you're getting at the charging receptacle, because your 𝗟𝗂𝘁 charger has to see a certain amount of volts at that charging receptacle for it to come on. So you could do that too. Let's see. Number 17. This is from Ken. He says, "Can I convert my 2013 Club Car Precedent 48 volt to lithium? If so, what will it take to do it? Thank you." The answer is sure you can. Lots of people are doing that. They're converting to lithium. But yeah, you can do that. This is what you need to do, though. First you have to decide which lithium battery company you're going with, because they all have different recommendations. You know, they're very particular about their own battery that they build and sell, or that they manufacture. Some of them have different rules than others. In your case, you would need to decide which one you're going with, and then you need to ask questions about your onboard computer. Are they going to require you to bypass your onboard computer because you're in a 2013, so your car has an onboard computer? They may or may not require you to bypass that onboard computer to do the lithium conversion, and they may or may not require you to buy their charger. That's the two main things that you're going to need to know when you decide to convert to lithium. Everything else is easy. You just take your batteries out and hook them back up. You only got two connections on your lithium battery. If you go, well, there's another company, Allieds, has a couple of different ways. You can buy single batteries and you would still hook them up normally, or you could just buy one single battery that has a positive and a negative connection. You could hook it up to that way. So you just need to decide which battery which lithium battery you're going to go with, and then ask those two main questions about the charger and the fact that you have an onboard computer. Are you going to need to bypass your onboard computer or not? They'll know the answer to that question because that's what they do. Okay. Let's see, that looks like it's about it for the regular questions. Let's go to Facebook and YouTube and check things out. Looks like we're good on Facebook. Let's see, YouTube. Judd M says he just switched my 2004 Club Car DS to lithium with a Navitas 4K motor and 600 amp controller running 38 miles per hour. Loving the upgrade. Nice. That's moving on in a regular golf cart, but that's cool. That's thanks for sharing that, Judd. That's cool. Let's see. All right, looks like that's going to be it for this week. I'll check Facebook and YouTube one more time before we get out of here. Before I forget, go to 𝗏𝑂𝘁𝐺𝑎𝑟𝑔𝑎𝑟𝑎𝑔E.com, look for this logo. This is Extreme Golf Cart Makeover. Look for that logo, click on that for information. Dave is doing some nice stuff over there. He's got some videos. You can win cash and prizes, so look for this logo and get more information on that. Also, if you have a golf cart related issue, you are welcome to get involved in the Gearheads On Demand service that we offer here. Gearheads On Demand is a service where you can call, you can set up an appointment, and I will call you, or one of the other technicians will call you. If you're interested in talking to somebody that may have experience in what your issue is, you're welcome to schedule an appointment with me, and I'll call you at whatever time you pick. If you're interested in that, click the link in the description. Click the link down below in the description, and it'll take you to the scheduling page. Let's see. To get all that out of the way. Okay, in YouTube we got Want to Go Fishing. Hi Tim. Just a simple minor question. I have a 2009 Club Car Precedent. Would like a slightly more aggressive tire other than the standard golf course style tires. Any personal suggestions? That's actually a good question. Want to go fishing, and I've done the exact same thing. I wish I could show you the tire that I would recommend. Let me look at it just real quick. Look at something. Fox AT. Let's see if you can look up Fox AT. That's a pretty good one. It's a little bit more aggressive. It's one that I've been using for a long time, but they do make more aggressive tires in the exact same tire size as your cart has on it. You know, but it just has more of a knobby type tread on it, and that comes in really handy because a golf cart with regular street tires or the regular golf course tires, they will get stuck in a mud hole in a minute with those regular street tires. So I understand what you're trying to do there, and it's look up Fox AT, or just look up 18-inch tires, and on our website you can go to 𝗏𝑂𝘁𝐺𝑎𝑟𝑎𝑔E.com and look at the 18-inch tire selection and just pick one out that you think has a little bit more aggressive tread than your normal tire. But there's going to be several there. Billy Strawn says, ask Judd, does his Navitas app tell him how fast he's going? That's a good question. Judd, how are you getting your speed? Are you just doing that with your phone? Or are you looking at a Navitas app and it's telling you that? If you wouldn't mind letting us know that. We got people on Facebook that are actually interested in the answer to that. I'm actually interested too. I just use my phone, but I don't have the Navitas app, so I'd be interested in knowing that also. Let's see here. I don't know if he's going to get back to me. I don't know if Judd is still there. All right. Well, I will be back next week. Thank everybody for coming. Thank everybody for watching. Thank everybody for joining in the chat. Appreciate that. We will see everybody next week. For now, the garage is closed.